is a bustling modern city and important economic centre, but it's also one of China's ancient capitals with a long and distinguished history.
Now here we are at the Xi'anming City Wall. Throughout whole China, this is the only place where you could enjoy the well-preserved city military defense system. Has a history over 600 years.
On China's ancient Silk Route, this great walled city is said to have been visited by Marco Polo, and its stunning collection of beautiful pagodas and temples make it an obvious highlight for today's explorers too. But it's also a cosmopolitan regional capital, celebrated for the great mosque and lively food markets of its Muslim quarter. More recently, it's become famous for its incredible terracotta warriors, one of the greatest archaeological finds of the 20th century. The site features hundreds of unique, life-size terracotta statues.
Yeah, this is one of the highlights of the Wendy World Tour. I think it's probably the main highlight to see this.
The collection dates back to 200 BC and was designed to help the Emperor Qin rule a heavenly empire in the afterlife. But it's not just soldiers, there are horses, acrobats and musicians too, all standing to attention in a vast buried city of halls, offices and chambers. As ever, your friendly Wendy Wu Tours local guide will be on hand to bring this amazing spectacle alive for you.
He is the middle ranking officer. Next to it, you're going to see the general. The general, wow, I tell you, you have to be good looking.
It's estimated that there's up to 8,000 figures in all, so only a tiny fraction have been unearthed so far. Chengdu is the capital of China's Sichuan province and is one of its fastest growing cities. The commercial hub of the region, it's home to a multitude of modern businesses. "40 kilometers from Chengdu, ancient Huanglongxi is a beautifully preserved and extraordinarily pretty village, established almost 1,700 years ago. The majority of the town's buildings date from the 1600s, and, in its atmospheric streets, you'll glimpse an age-old China, almost untouched by the hustle and bustle of the 21st century.
In this town, you not only can see ancient architectures, but also you can see how the local people live their lives, and also you can buy some souvenirs, very local products. You can't see them in other areas. 谢谢。那个吗？不行。我还是。
If you love pandas, and who doesn't, you'll love the Chengdu Panda Reserve. You can see these gentle creatures totally at home in their specially landscaped conservation area.
It's great. You have to see the panda park. It's a must in Chengdu.
I'm really happy to see them in real life.
Scientists at the reserve are dedicated to protecting these wonderful animals, and they're also making sure they've got a healthy long-term future too.
It's important to have a research center here. Is that because the pandas is a national treasure, and now in the wild we only have about 1,600 pandas. and in captivity only about 300. So totally only less than 2,000 pandas in the wild. We have to protect them.
The breeding program is internationally famous, having started with just 6 giant pandas rescued from the wild. The population in the reserve now has grown to over 80. They share their reserve with some other endangered animals, like the red panda, who's a little smaller but just as adorable. You're bound to have your own personal favourite, but sadly you won't be able to take any of the pandas home with you.
Someone asked me, can I take a panda back home? No, you cannot do it. You can only take a panda toy.
Lushan is another major city in China's famous Sichuan province, which is renowned for its spicy food and unforgettable scenery. Lushan's most famous attraction is the Grand Buddha, a huge statue that sits majestically at the head of 3 rivers. Carved out of the cliff face, it's over 70 meters high, and to give you an idea of the scale, his head is about the size of a small house.
This is a very good place for Wendy tourists because this giant Buddha is the biggest sitting Buddha in the world.
Construction of the statue was started around the early 700s, and it was the brainchild of a monk called He Tong. Alarmed at the loss of life in the turbulent waters of the river, he hoped that the Buddha's serene presence would allow safe passage for shipping. Whether it was the presence of the Buddha or perhaps the tons of waste rock dumped into the water, river traffic can now safely navigate the calmer waters overlooked by this magnificent statue.